Welcome to my channel. Please like and subscribe to be notified on my next broadcast video. Now that SpaceX Starship Flight 8 is in the history book, there's a lot to be discussed about what has happened. I know they tried to repeat the same flight path for Flight 7, which it turned out to be the same incident that happened with Starship going out of control during the flight mission. Let's talk the step by step and get down to the technical understanding of what happened to Flight 8. Since we need to know what happened to Flight 8 and why it repeat the same incident in Flight 7. I know everybody is questioning about what happened to Flight 8, and they thinking about there is similar pattern to what happened to Flight 7. Luckily, SpaceX has upgraded the current Starship with more sensors, more cameras to get a visual look of what is going on with the Starship itself, which was very helpful to determine exactly what happened to the ship and why it caused what it did. So let's go back to the fact that Starship itself with the redesigned version 2 with the forward flaps that move away from the belly of the Starship heat shield to mitigate the re-entry force. Also, the new version 2 is about 52 millimeters, which increased the fuel propellant up to 25%, which is it would be helpful to get more thrust and more reliability, I believe, for the Starship itself. Now, for the other part they purposely removed certain tiles at certain locations to test the strength and resilience of Starship. Why? They need to find out how much the ship could handle during re-entry. That is critical for them to have this vehicle be reusable as much as possible. And it's very critical because also they're using new materials on the heat shields. One is a reactive metal, other one's a standard. They trying to test certain metals or certain materials to be most effective on how the ship perform on re-entry. And also, like I said before, they updated all the sensors for Starlinks, including onboard cameras, to make sure that everything is able to be functioned normally. And also, anything happen, they will capture it at every angle as possible. I mean, this Starship, they did a test before it launched. They did a 1 minute test, a duration static fire 1 minute test, and make sure all the equipment, they did it for 1 minute. I'm going to play the video. As you can see, they want to make sure that this vehicle on their redesign on the combustion chamber were able to handle all the pressures of what happened on Flight 7. So, like I said before, they thought they fixed everything on the ship to remedy the situation with Starship. They are repeating the same flight path for Flight 7, which they never got a chance to deploy version actually the new Starlink, I believe they call version 3 Starlink, with the increased communication capacity and much broader range for only for commercial and cellular service, which is critical for increased Starlink business and more. Let's look at this video. Everything on this flight path was normal. Everybody thought everything was resolved. On the first, as we see right now, as the rocket launch off, the super booster with Starship on Flight 8, everything seems normal. They fixed a lot of things was worrisome, like some of the tiles and some of the fabrics for the thermal protection was not connected together, but this time they fixed that problem and everything's looked normal. The ship was functioning normal, everything was looking normal. So let's talk about the next clip. Now at this point, at this point of time, at 2 minutes and roughly 30 seconds, when Starship was about to be separated from during the hot stage, when it decreased down to 3 Raptors, and then allowed the Starship to ignite and separate itself on the hot stage. And everything was 11 engines, actually 11 engines ignited out of the 13, which is probably okay for for Super Boost to return. As we can see, Starship is still running normally, which is everything seems to be fine in spite of 11 out of the 13 boosters ignited for the return to descent back to the launch towers. So now, this is where I had to stop. This is a good look of the chamber within the 6 Raptor engines. This is something we had to look closely. As you can see, there's something that was not, everything looked normal until we started seeing debris was falling out from the chamber. And actually you can see like roughly, let me just roll back. Roughly around, at a certain point in time, around 3 minutes and 45 seconds, certain debris was falling out within the chamber. We don't know why. It could be some resonance was going on within the chamber of the Raptor's engines. And there was more debris was falling out. Usually it was something like a white foam or something, but we seen it black debris. And it was kind of concerning. No one probably wasn't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention to it. And we could see the nozzles, everything was going good. Now, at this point, we're seeing the heavy boosters doing this return. It's coming in pretty steady. And once again, we're looking at more debris. I would say, like, once again, I mean, it was going back, start what SpaceX was doing. They were showing the super booster, see how it performed, and then go back to Starship, see how it performed. But nobody did not pay attention of the debris was still falling out from the chamber. No one didn't pay attention. I did not pay attention. So this is critical to see what is happening. And everything seems to be normal. So I'm just gonna go to the next clip and see how everything's performed, because the Super Boost was doing perfectly. It was doing its normal performance. Everything was fine. Everything seemed to be looking fine, even though they got the best camera view out of this Super Booster. And it was impressive. So let's see how this performed. And we all know we saw what happened when it went perform. From out of 11, out of 13, only 12 ignited, which within the parameter, and it was still successful landing back to the tower. And it was pretty impressive, from 11 out of the 13 with descent, and then back down to only 12 out of 13 when it break, and then back to 3 when it's landing, which is still a good catch. But now the critical part that we all had to understand. So now we're seeing everything seems to be normal, and then around when the camera switched at 7 minutes and 45 seconds, we noticed that the chamber was on fire. I mean, this is something that is good amount of data, and no one didn't pay attention to it. because when you had to look back to the video, because everybody was excited, oh my gosh, it's this thing flying, but no one didn't see the chamber was on fire, which I'm now looking at it and it's like, wow, something ruptured, something resonant and ruptured wherever is in the chamber of the rockets or something in the combustion chamber. So something gave out, something caused some sort of resonance and it caused a rupture, and we seeing this fire because earlier we were seeing debris was flying out of the chamber of the six rockets, of the three sea level and the three vacuum engines, and you can see how the fire is spreading all over, and no one didn't notice, but everything seems to be normal, but we don't know too well what happened after next, because sooner or later, around 8 minutes and 7 seconds, actually 8 minutes and 6 seconds, that's when, actually, like, yeah, 8 minutes and, oh my gosh, at 8 minutes and 5 seconds, two sea levels in one vacuum gone. And then at this, and then this one of the side cameras with the rear flaps captured the detonation of the Raptor engines. So once again, what happened into a combustion either happened inside the combustion chamber or happened at the mounting point of the Raptor engines. Something ignited, something catastrophic happened, and as a result, the ship lost telemetry control. And the one thing about it, with the upgraded signal from Starship to Starlink, we got a clear picture of what happened. This was the first time we seen it, and we could see debris, fuel, everything was spinning out of control. I mean, it was like, it's shocking. It's like everybody like, whoa, what happened? We already know what's going to happen. It's an unscheduled disassembly. I mean, it was falling back down to earth, and it's happened in the Gulf region. I mean, you can see right now that the ship was going out of control. It was losing out of control. It was still getting signal. Credit to the new updated receivers on Starship to communicate with Starlink, give us a better clear what has happened. So basically, they thought they fixed what happened on Flight 7. It has repeated on Flight 8. This is very concerning. I mean, believe it or not, this is very concerning. And the result is what it would see afterwards. I mean, on social media, once again, people capturing debris when Starship came back down to Earth around the Gulf. And this is the result when they lost control of Starship. I know SpaceX, when they lost control of Starship, they have to contact the FAA on their contingency plans to mitigate, avoid any air traffic to run into the path of the debris field coming back down to Earth. And it must have been a harrowing moment for FAA. Had to alert all flight paths to need to alter their plans on when these debris field is coming in without them getting struck by the debris field. And as a result, it was captured on cell phone, on social media. When people capture it and they post it immediately. Some of them capture it from their phones, on their boats. Some of them capture it around the, believe it or not, in the Caribbean, in Florida. And some were capturing on a commercial flight. This is very concerning. And what has happened, they believe they fixed it, but they didn't fix it. So let me end this story. There's no point of discussing any further. Flight 8 was okay. It did half the performance. It did not fulfill the full performance of Starship itself, of making to orbit, deploying the dummy test version of the Starlink satellite for version 3, and then do a test fire restart in suborbit to make sure all the hardware is working correctly, and descend back down to Earth near the Indian Ocean to test the strength integrity of Starship version 2 itself. Now they had to coordinate it with another mishap report with the FAA. This is probably SpaceX probably need to do. They may have to redesign the engine combustion chamber. And also they may have to do more than a minute static fire test. So they might have to do what NASA does. They may have to fire those engines, test every hardware, the plumbing, everything for the duration of the flight of the vehicle. They may have to do that because you want to make sure that this vehicle could handle the vibration, the pressure, everything. So something happened because we seeing pieces of debris flying off, or they figured out what it was because they got valuable data to see exactly what happened. Because everything looked clean, but then we saw these debris was start falling out, and then when we get back to it, the chamber was in fire. So basically, the vehicle kind of lost control, spin out of control, did unscheduled disassembly, fall back down to Earth. Everybody captured on it with their cell phone and posted on the social media, and it probably was a nightmare for the FAA to alert air traffic for airlines to take maneuvers, consistently plans maneuvers to avoid that debris field path, so they could have a much more perfect flight. Even though they capture in the Gulf, even though they capture in Florida, in the Bahamas as well. So everything was captured and posted on social media. It's what it is. I'm praying that SpaceX will find a solution to this, so Flight 9 be more successful than Flight 7 and 8, because they cannot have a third repeat because it would look really, really bad. But anyway, this is my video for Starship 8 mishap, and I will see you next time. Please, if you have an opinion, make a comment, like and subscribe my video, and please share. See you next time.